Many adults who interact with teenagers will have opportunities to speak with them about making healthy choices related to alcohol. Teachers, coaches, youth ministers, and other trusted adults may have an easier time talking to teens than their own parents do, but the approach they take often makes a big difference. When adults lecture, warn, scold, or give unwanted advice, teenagers tend to become defensive and shut down, which decreases the likelihood of having a productive conversation. Watch what happens when this youth minister becomes overly preachy while talking to a youth group member about his drinking and tries to convince him to make a change he isn't ready to make.
So Tommy, I wanted to talk to you because I was on Facebook the other day and saw some pictures that are kind of concerning to me of you and some of your friends at a party, and you know, you're such a good kid. Like, I don't know what you're doing drinking. It's gonna ruin your life.
I mean, it was just like a social gathering. It wasn't like I was looking for it. The drinks were there, and all my friends were doing it, and it was just, it's not something that I like do on occasion, but whenever the opportunity presents itself, it's nice to just let loose and have a little bit of fun sometimes.
But Tommy, there's so many consequences with drinking. You know, you're not even 21 yet. You could get arrested. You could, you know, have a drunk driving accident. You could, you know, mess up your schoolwork. You have such a bright future ahead of you. It just really, really concerns me.
I get what you're coming from, but I really did. I thought that I had it under control, and I didn't let myself get too far gone. I didn't want to be, how do I put this, like, I wanted to be in control, and I wanted to make sure that all my friends were okay, so I didn't let myself drink too much.
There's really no such thing as not drinking too much. I mean, anything that's drinking when you're underage is drinking too much, you know? Like, think about it. Think about all the things that can happen to you.
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. And
how much are you drinking?
I don't think I'm drinking that much. I mean, it's mainly for social gatherings. Like, it's nothing that I do like by myself or whatever. It's just
Is it like every weekend?
Every other weekend, I would say.
Tommy, I'm just so concerned. You know, can't you think of anything better to do?
I guess I can. I can probably be more productive in my schoolwork, and rather than going out to parties as much. And I do get where you're coming from. And
you know, are your friends the problem? Like, maybe you should just start hanging out with more kids in the youth group and not hang out with those kids that you were partying with.
Yeah, I guess I haven't really put it on myself. I guess it's really been forced on their account, and I've just been following in their footsteps just because it seems like what they're doing is a lot of fun, and I just want to make sure that I'm getting every bit of the high school experience that I can.
Well, there's a lot of things that seem fun in the moment that we know aren't a good choice, right? That's some of the things we talk about all the time, is making good choices for our life and really doing what's best for you. And I just, you know, I really think you should think about making a big change here.
Yeah. I do see that maybe me drinking not as much would possibly better my life to a certain degree, and it does make a lot of sense, and I guess I can put more effort into sort of lowering the level of drinking that I do.
I think you really need to quit.
Yeah, I mean, alcohol is just so prevalent in our society, and it's just around me wherever I go, and parties and stuff, that I kind of feel like I should just get used to it, or at least understand its effects before I should let it get out of my life entirely. I don't really see it as something that will completely destroy my life.
I think you're wrong. You know, it really worries me. Anyway, I wish you would quit. If all you're gonna do is cut down, that's better than nothing. You know, I appreciate you talking to me about this, but I'm gonna keep talking to you about it. It's really important.
Yeah, I don't see the problem in it right now, and maybe it's because I haven't really had that traumatic of an experience, but
Do you want to wait for that to happen? Do you want to wait for a dramatic experience?
You're right. I don't want to be too far gone before it's too late. Like I can imagine something possibly happening where it's to a degree where I can't escape. And I guess I've never really had any real experience where alcohol has really affected me that much or affected anybody close to me that much. So I guess it's something that I feel like I'm in control of, but in reality I might not have as much control as I think.
All right. Well, maybe it's something we can work on together, and I think we should come up with a plan that's going to work for you so that you can get control here and stop drinking.
Yeah, I think that would be a good step forward into a life of possibly being sober and just experiencing the true aspects of life rather than the haziness of alcohol.
Okay. Sounds good.
By starting the conversation with a somewhat negative and judgmental tone, the youth minister puts Tommy on the defensive right away. Rather than being honest, he downplays the severity of his drinking. She tries warning him about potential catastrophic consequences to scare him into sobriety. However, we know that adolescents do not respond well to this approach because of their incomplete cognitive development. Most teens feel invincible and won't change their behavior just because the potential risks are pointed out to them. Though well-intentioned, the youth minister resorts to arguing, interrupting, and even making disapproving faces during the discussion. These behaviors are likely to shut down the conversation prematurely and create a barrier to change. She also jumps in with unsolicited advice and unrealistic goals, making Tommy uncomfortable and causing him to try to appease her while defending his choices. He is left without the opportunity to really consider the options available to him. The youth minister's responses make Tommy feel pressured to go along with what she says, rather than thinking things through for himself. Tommy appears defeated by the end of the conversation. Though he has no specific plan, he seems to acquiesce to her suggestions purely out of guilt and shame. Unfortunately, it seems very unlikely that he will be successful making a behavior change as a result of this conversation.